fuck. You really put me on the spot here. Alright, let me see what... God, let me see what I can do. So... It's all off the cranium, okay? Feel free to fucking give me shit. So... Oh my god. So... There was a... Oh man. There was a young boy who was out trying to find his meaning in life, trying to find out what his purpose in the world was. So in doing so, he leaves home. He just gets up. He just gets up and leaves his house, leaves home, and goes on an adventure. He's just traveling and traveling, and one of the days he's traveling and he finds a road. The road forks, okay. So the road forks, and of course, with him being on an adventure and wanting to travel and find somewhere new. What's his name? We need a name. What's his name? Somebody give me a name. Somebody. Port. God damn it. Port. Alright, Port. So Port, wanting to, venture out and try new things, he comes to a crossroad and he takes the road less traveled. Okay? He's on a road he's never been before, and it's a road less traveled, right? So Mark goes, takes the road less traveled by, and he's going, okay? He goes, and on his travels, a fucking bird starts talking to him. Little birdie says, the little birdie says, oh shit. Well, howdy, Mark. And Mark says, I ain't never heard no bird talk before. Bird looks back at Mark and says, well, Mark. God damn it. Well, Mark, you ain't ever been to this neck of the woods, so why would you ever hear a bird like me talk? He's like, well, geez, that's something nifty. So the bird looks at Mark and the bird tells Mark to head south. She says, you know what, Mark? If you're looking for adventure, I know a tavern down yonder. You visit this tavern and you'll find what you're looking for there. So Mark, being astonished by this talking bird, he agrees to listen to the bird, and Mark heads south. And sure enough, a few miles on down the road, Mark wanders upon a tavern. Once he arrives in the tavern, he walks in, he's looking around, and he sees this guy. There's a guy sitting at a table, and he's got the biggest stack of chips you've ever seen. He's a gambling man. He's been sitting at the tavern all day, betting his fucking money on the table, and he's winning everything. The man looks at Mark and says, boy, what does the man say to Mark? The man says, boy, you ever gambled before? Mark looks at the man and says, well, yeah, I've gambled before, but sir, I ain't got no money. And out of nowhere, the bird comes back. He hears the bird whispering at him from a distance. The bird says, Mark, check under that chair right there. There's a lucky gold coin with your name on it. And Mark, already being a believer in what the bird tells him, he goes and looks, and sure enough, there's a golden coin sitting under that chair with his name written right on it. So Mark picks up the coin and looks back at the man and says, you know what? I'll give it a shot. Mark plays his first hand and loses right off the bat. Man takes his gold coin, laughs at his face, and then the man says, "You know what, Mark? You're a real sport for playing, so I'll give you another chance." So the guy pretty much loans him out the gold coin to give him another try. And the man shouldn't have did that, because once Mark got that gold coin back, he beat that man at every hand, the next 6 hands, to the point where he took every bit of money that man had on the table. So the man looks back at the boy and says, "You know what? I bet you my daughter's hand in marriage if you beat me on this next hand." So the boy laughs and he says, "Okay, I'll take that bet." Sure enough, they play the next hand and Mark wins again. But this time, when Mark wins the hand, the old man starts to laugh. Starts chuckling, real sinister chuck, starts chuckling real hard. And out of nowhere, all the cards around him start floating and flying. Everything's going crazy. Lights are flickering. Boom. The old man disappears. Mark being astonished again by what he's seen. Now, this is a boy who's lived, in the country pretty much his whole life. Been raised on a farm, ain't gone nowhere, haven't seen anything. So all this, everything he's seeing is just so amazing to him. He doesn't quite understand what's going on. So with the old man vanishing, he goes and he talks to the barkeep. He says, "Barkeep, did you know who that man was? He just made off with my earnings. He promised me his daughter's hand in marriage." And the barkeeper says, "Oh, you don't want to know about him. What's his name? What's the wizard's name? I need a name. Give me a name." "Gandalf." "Alright, fuck it. We'll go Gandalf." So the barkeep looks at Mark and says, "Oh, you don't want to know about old Gandalf." He says, "Why not? He owes me money. I won fair and square on that hand." He looks over at Mark and says, "That man right there, he's a wizard, Mark. His name is Gandalf, and you ought to not go looking for this man. Only bad things happen to boys who go looking to collect debts from Gandalf." He says, "Well, shoot, I don't give nothing about no tall tales. You let me know where to find him, and you tell me where to find this man. Tell me where to find Gandalf." So barkeeper gives him a little bit of information. He says, "Go to this lake. Go to this lake at dawn and watch. And you'll find what you're looking for there." So Mark, listening to what the barkeep has to say, because what barkeep doesn't know what they're talking about, Mark goes to the lake that the barkeeper told him about, and he's sitting there. So he got there a little early, so he was just relaxing, watching, and waiting. And sure enough, at dawn, he sees something. He sees something coming up out of the water. And it's a few ducks. A few ducks are swimming up the lake right at dawn. Couldn't have timed even more perfectly. So Mark, being quiet, he's watching the ducks, seeing what they do, and sure enough, out of nowhere, the ducks turn into 3 beautiful women. Boom. Like that. So instantly Mark knows that these must be the daughters of the wizard that he's looking for. So quickly he confronts the 3 women, begging for answers about their father. Begging for answers. He tells them the story about how he lost his hand, how their father lost and cheated Mark out of what he was owed, which again, if we guys remember, was one of his daughter's hand in marriage. Mark tended to leave that part out of the story. Mark didn't tell the women that. He told the women about him losing, their dirty, no good daddy wizard losing the hand of cards. So feeling bad for the boy, because these women were, like they were like fairies, so they're quite old. So feeling bad for the young boy Mark, who just ventured out looking for adventure. They feel bad. So they tell old Mark where to find the wizard, Gandalf, their daddy. So he's the fucking dad is living in a, oh, what is he living in? He is living in a lighthouse over the water. So Mark goes and bangs on the door. I'd bang on my desk to give it more cinematic effect, but I don't want to fuck my shit up. So, boom, boom, boom. Mark's banging on the door, yelling his name. Gandalf! I know you're in there, you piece of shit. You owe me a daughter's hand in marriage and money. You no good, dirty, stealing wizard, bitch. And from the door, Mark hears the same chuckle that he heard before the man disappeared before him that night. The door swings wide open. And out comes Gandalf, the wizard. He said, boy, I'm surprised you was able to find me. But in doing so, I'll tell you what. I'll give you 3 challenges. You succeed in these 3 challenges I have to offer you, and you'll earn my daughter's hand in marriage. So Mark, again, what the fuck is that? Mark, again, earning for adventure, trying to find his place in the world. Of course, he accepts Gandalf's task. So he sleeps in Gandalf's house that night, Gandalf wakes Mark up early in the morning. He's got his first task ready for him. So he goes to Mark and he says, Mark, I have a horse that is unwilling to listen to any commands. Your task for today is to tame this horse, to catch this horse and to ride this horse. I'll give you 2 options. I'll give you a brand new lasso or an old piece of twine. I see that. Ugh. I'll give you this brand new lasso or an old piece of twine. So Mark, thinking to himself, well, of course I don't want to use the old lasso, the old piece of twine. He wants the lasso. So Mark quickly rushes out the door and rushes over to Gandalf's stables and finds the horse. It's out there running like crazy. He takes the brand new lasso and throws it over the horse, and as soon as he did, the lasso snaps. So he takes the lasso and tries to start fixing it, but before he could finish fixing it, one of the daughters comes out. We need a name for the daughter. We need a name for the daughter. Daughter's name, Jessica. So Jessica, one of the wizard's daughters, Juggy, comes out and says, Mark, listen, it's all the trick. If you want to catch this horse, you need to use the old twine. But Mark, being so dazzled by the beauty of Jessica, barely listens to what she's saying. All he really understands is her telling him to use the twine. So, in doing so, Jessica leaves and Mark grabs the twine, goes out and lassos the horse. First try. Boom. As soon as Mark throws the lasso on the horse, catches the horse. First try. He brings the horse back to Gandalf the wizard. And he's starstruck, okay? Never has a boy been able to capture this horse. So he asked Mark, he's like, how did you know to use the twine? He said, well, Gandalf, I just got lucky. He says, okay, well, Go get some sleep. I'll have another task for you tomorrow. So again, Gandalf wakes Mark up early in the morning for his next task. He says, Mark, today I want you to sail across this lake. You get to choose between either a brand new sailboat or this piece of junk rowboat. So Mark, again, thinking to himself, why would I ever use this junk rowboat when there's a perfectly handy sailboat right here? So Mark jumps in the sailboat. And no sooner did he jumped in that sailboat did the waves in the lake start doing a cyclone, and thunder started roaring and striking his boat. And here comes what's her name? Jessica. Here comes Jessica running again. Mark! Mark! Mark hears the yells of Jessica and turns around, and he's like, What? She said, Mark, didn't you listen to what I said yesterday? And again, Mark, being so awestruck by the beauty of Jessica, says, well, no, I don't. She said, it's all a trick, Mark. Use the old rowboat. Don't use the boat. You'll never get across this lake using this rowboat. Well, he says, well, okay, then I will use this rowboat. He listened a little bit more to Jessica this time, but he was still in just awestruck of her beauty. So he gets in the rowboat. He makes it across. Comes back to the wizard, and the wizard again, he's astonished. He said, how did you know to use the old rowboat? And Mark again just answered with, I don't know, I guess I just got lucky. So with that being said, he says, alright, well, tomorrow will be your last task. Go get some sleep and wake up tomorrow for your next task. So again, Mark off to sleep. But this time, Jessica visits him in the night. She says, Mark, my father knows I've been helping you on these tasks, and he aims to kill us both. So tomorrow's task, he will try to... What is he going to try to do? He's going to try and trick you into thinking I am one of my other sisters. But you'll know me by my necklace. I'll be wearing my feather necklace tomorrow. So keep an eye out for my necklace, and that's how you'll know me. Jessica scurries off in the night. So, with that being said, Mark goes to sleep, and he wakes up tomorrow, and sure enough, there's Gandalf waking him up again. And he says, Mark, today is your last task. Today we're going to have a surprise mask party. And your job is to choose the daughter that you want to court. But there will be many people at this party, and they will all look exactly the same. You will not be able to tell one person from another, as they will be enchanted by magic. So they all look the same, okay? So Mark attends this festival, this mask party, and he's wandering around, he's looking. Many women are approaching Mark, and he's brushing them all aside this time. Because this time, he listened to Jessica. He listened to what she had to say this time, instead of just being awestruck in her beauty. He remembered Jessica approaching him in the night before, and reminding him to look for the feather necklace. So out of the crowd, he's searching. And sure enough, he finds a woman wearing a feather necklace. And as soon as he does, he yells her name. Jessica, I found you. And no sooner And no sooner did he find Jessica, the wizard gets furious. And he starts, what does he do? I don't know. What is he doing? He's throwing magic balls. It's like fucking Harry Potter. He's throwing Avada Kedavra spells like crazy. He's trying to kill them both because remember again the night before, Jessica warned Mark that the father's plan was to kill them both. And as soon as he found Jessica, that's what he aimed to do, was kill them both. So the fucking Gandalf is throwing Avada Kedavra spells at Mark and Jessica. And no sooner than he started doing that, Jessica turned into a duck. Okay? Because remember, she's a duck, right? You guys remember that? It's all part of the lore, okay? You guys keeping up with the lore? This is some deep lore right here. Jessica transforms herself into a duck. Not only just a duck, but a duck that can carry the weight of both her and Mark. And they fly away together. And I had a plot, but I don't know how to successfully get to the plot that I want it to end at. Jessica says, what does she say? There's a plot. I got a plot, but I don't know how to finish it. Jessica, she said, Mark, you listened to me. Okay, she said, I'm happy you found me, Mark. Thank you so much for listening. And Mark says to Jessica, always listen to what the woman you love has to say. And then they fly off into the night. Scene. That's pretty good. It's pretty good, right? Come on, guys. That's pretty good, right?